I'm Eric Wolf, and my experience in business peer groups has changed my life, especially my membership in Vistage, one of the world's largest CEO advisory groups. I'm an entrepreneur, a business owner, and a Vistage speaker on the power of marketing. This podcast is dedicated to the people who make those experiences possible, the peer group chairs. Every episode, I interview a Vistage chair who has dedicated their time to helping entrepreneurs like me succeed. Welcome to Chairwaves. My guest today is Fenella Kim. Comes to us with a whole lot of CEO experience, which we are going to definitely talk about. She is based in Long Island, just outside of New York City, and she has three groups, a CE group, a key group, and the trusted advisor group. Welcome to Chairwaves.
Thank you, Eric.
I'm so glad to meet you. Thank you so much for being my guest, Fenella. So tell me about your trajectory as a professional. Where did you start, and how did you end up in the CEO seat for the first time?
Okay. My background is in electrical high voltage power plant engineering.
Oh, so basically, something really simple that anybody off the street could get into. You're like, what's the easiest thing I could do? And there was the ad in the paper, and you circled it. Okay, so tell me about that.
Yeah, so I accepted that field because I was a fully sponsored scholarship student. Originally, I wanted to be a doctor, but here is the offer: electrical high voltage power plant engineering full scholarship. And so I took the offer and completed, got a bachelor degree in it, became an engineer, and then met my husband along the way. And he proposed, and I migrated to U.S. 25 years ago. So that's my, journey that I said to my husband. I said, I am not going to start from scratch. No one is going to recognize my resume, my degree from overseas. And I'm going to start my own company. I'm going to start a business. And he was like, shocked. He's like, how? You just landed in a brand new country, the United States of America. You have no friends, no family, no resources, no money.
And this is the guy who supposedly has your back more than anyone.
Yes. Exactly. And he's like, no, how are you going to do that? I said, don't worry about it. I am going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out. So we started a fintech company focusing on electronic payment.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the start of the journey of becoming a CEO.
And you have been, and you have actually, you've sold businesses, you've had exits, you've been in leadership positions multiple times. What I would love to hear just a couple of those stories about how you found success and what it taught you.
Yeah, it was very, very challenging. Coming from an engineering background, yes, I had my own business growing up in education in a foreign country, but in U.S., starting from basically ground up, not having resources, not knowing much about the law, the rule, the compliance, the regulation. I pretty much have to learn everything the hard way. So the first few years of my entrepreneurial journey as a business owner was very, very challenging. So a lot of people can relate to that. Feeling lonely at the top, feeling
Oh yeah.
constantly getting stuck, having problem that employees will come to you and problem with your customers, with your client. Like you start to question, like, am I the only one? Where can I find a better answer? So my journey on that was along the way. I was married, got pregnant, gave birth to two beautiful kids. Where do you have the time to go back to school? Um,
Right.
always wanted to go back to school to get more knowledge that I need, right, in terms of business. Um, there's not enough time. So I would go and attend short courses and workshop and attended business conference to learn and hear from the speaker. And I was in desperate mode in looking for a mentor, a business mentor that can help.
Hmm.
Been there, done that. That can help coach me. And I approach a lot of people, um, and the most of the answer that I got was no. I don't have time, right? But I was very lucky. I didn't give up. I was very lucky that at a business conference in Chicago, um, I met Norm Brodsky, who I was bold enough also to walk up to him and I said that, would you be willing to be my mentor? He had just given a keynote speech, was the speaker, and I just thought that what he said resonates. And what do I have to lose? It will be another no, right? I don't have time. But this time it was a yes. He looked at me, he's like, yes, this is my number, call me. So as soon as I get back
Hmm.
on island, I call him and he said, yes, come on down. I'll give you an hour of my time. Let's meet and talk. So that one session turned out to be a monthly one-on-one uh, coaching, mentoring session that he gave me. And it was very helpful for a young entrepreneur like myself who is struggling to grow my business and struggling to do things right, for my people, for my clients. Uh, so one day I asked him, I said, Norm, your time is so valuable. Why are you so kind to me that you're willing to offer an hour of your time, once a month to coach me and to mentor me? He said to me, he said, I'm already at this age. I'm not going to bring my knowledge and experience to the graveyard. I'd rather help young people like you share with you what I know, what I've learned so far. But promise me one thing. When you made it, you have to pay it forward. I look at I look at him into his eyes. I say, yes, I will.
What a wonderful story.
Yes,
That's that. I mean, and I imagine that, and and while it does seem that you had all of the drive and energy, everything that you needed to be successful, except for that expertise and that person to talk to, it still feels like, man, your story could have turned out differently.
right, right. And I am forever indebted to him because he was the one that introduced me to Vistage. One day I walk into his room like usual. He says, Fenella, you're ready. I was excited. I said, wow, what am I ready for today?
Ready for what? That begs a question.
Yes. He says, well, I think you're ready for Vistage. I said, what is that? What is Vistage? He's like, look, it's a group of peer-to-peer advisory where you're with other high-performing CEOs, where you will learn and the issues, the challenges, the most difficult decision that you're facing, you can bring it up to discuss with a group of peers and hear each other opinion, let them share their resources and the know-how. Who knows what you're going through right now? Someone already been through that. And leaders learn best by learning from another leader that's successfully been there, done that. I said, wow, that sounds very, very interesting. Whatever Norm says, he's my mentor. I need to be with Vistage. I need to join Vistage. That's how I became a member.
And you were a CE member for how long?
About 8 years.
Okay. At what point did you uh, at the point that you decided to be a chair, were you still a member?
No. So I have successfully built and exited the business. And I went on and built the third company, and I was traveling a lot. The third company was in um, consumer electronic product. It's a rideable suitcase. So my factory was overseas, and it involved global supply chain and distribution. So I no longer able to attend the monthly meeting. So I left the group. Shortly, I left the group. It was the pandemic, and my chair, that has been the chair of Vistage for 20 plus years, unfortunately passed away during the pandemic.
Oh,
Yes. So, yeah, I didn't know about this. I found out a year later after, after we all came out from the lockdown, right? After business back to usual. And it absolutely saddened me. Like, I missed the opportunity to say goodbye to my chair. I missed the opportunity to really like hug him and thank him and say, thank you for everything that you have done, right? The transformation that I've seen through myself, being part of the group, having him as my mentor and my chair, and yeah, and it makes sense because for the last, 4 years that he was no longer around, I got calls from Vistage every single year to recruit me to be a chair. And every time when the call came, it wasn't the right time at the right place. I was overseas. I have to quickly hang up and I say, I'm sorry, it's nighttime right here. It's midnight. I'm overseas. I'm not interested to be a chair. So, but in my mind, being a chair is, watching my former chair, I admire the work that he did. I always say to myself, someday I will give back, pay it forward to be a chair. And then the timing was right a year and a half ago. I finally launched. I finally became a chair. The first person I called was Norm Brodsky. I say, Norm, I want to become a chair for Vistage. He was very, very excited. And he says, oh, when? I'm going to come and talk to your group. I said, wait, I have not launched yet. I have not become a chair. I'm just telling you the idea of me becoming a chair. He was,
we're skipping steps.
yeah, he was very, very excited. And that just reassured me that, yes, I'm on the right path. I want to pay it forward. I want to thank Norm while he's still alive and he's still, healthy. I want to invite him to come and speak to my group now, sort of carry on the legacy. So when I launched, I actually put together a ribbon cutting ceremony, have him to come and speak, and invite my former chair widow to come and witness the whole thing that I am carrying forward, my two mentors' legacy.
Can I tell you I know a lot of chairs, um, and I have interviewed now more than 80 on this podcast, and I can tell you this is the first time that I have ever heard of a chair do launching a group in such a unique way, but also for you to do that, that required a lot of vulnerability on your part. I mean, the idea of the ribbon cutting is fantastic. I've never heard of that either. But for you to do that, but then celebrate with somebody that had meant so much to you, and by inviting the widow of somebody who had passed during COVID that meant a lot to you. I mean, you really put it out there in a very personal way. I imagine that created a lot of uh, culture of gratitude in your group that that was very palpable for, like I can't imagine how emotional that first meeting would have been.
Yeah, the ribbon cutting ceremony was definitely very touching and very emotional. Yes, it's also a way of me to share my journey, right? My own story, and I believe in Vistage because it works. It has helped a lot of people. It has helped a lot of company. It has developed and transformed amazing leaders, and that's why I want to be part of that now, and I want to be able to help and continue to transform more and more leaders and help more and more families and really create a much bigger impact to the community, the society.
And you're paying it forward. You're keeping your promise.
Yeah.
What was the process like for you starting your first group, and to be at this point in your journey and to already have three groups is pretty extraordinary. Um, what was the experience like starting the first group?
Well, it's not as easy as it seems. Um, as you have heard from a lot of chairs, right? It's about finding the right type of member, the CEO, the leader that wants to be uh, in a peer advisory, and having in the seat of a member in the past definitely helped. We're looking for like-minded individual who wants to learn, who wants to better themselves, who wants to develop themselves to become a better person, a better leader. We're looking for people who want to make better decisions, avoid costly mistakes, right? And to be able to deliver better results and to execute and to grow much faster. So my journey in looking and interviewing and selecting these members candidates um, has been challenging. I have to say that I have to say no to a lot of people. Vistage is not an organization for networking or membership where you have money and you can join, right?
Right.
Right. It's a highly selective process. So for me, as a former member and now a chair, I have a high standard for my group. So I do a deep dive in my discovery interview in meeting them to make sure that every single one that I invite to come into the group embrace those characteristics that we want.
There's in your approach, you're doing it. I would say differently than a lot. Now, all chairs are selective, but you're talking about a level of selectiveness that's very, very high. And I know that there are a lot of chairs that don't make it, because they can't recruit enough people to start that first group, or even if they start, they find it hard to maintain that group. And I think that a lot of folks have sort of a scarcity mindset when it comes to the process of recruiting, and sort of feeling like, oh, I've got to get these members, so that. But you've kind of taken a very different approach in saying, not only am I going to be choosy, I'm going to be extremely choosy,
Yeah,
and I am going to actually create abundance for myself and for my groups by 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 doing this and making it exclusive.
right, exactly. So instead of having the scarcity mindset, I have the abundance mindset. So there are a lot of people out there that qualify. I just haven't get to them yet. So when I need to recruit my first batch to launch, I probably talk to like more than 200 and have introduction and meeting and interview with them, like over 100 of them. And then I handpick and select 10 people from that bunch. So when I look at that, right, it's about less than 5% that made it through to the final selection.
How many in your three groups? How many members do you have currently?
I have 40 plus members.
How many people have you specifically said no to in order to get those 40?
So many.
Yeah, you're actually telling people, yeah, thanks but no thanks. You're a great person, but you're not going to be a fit here.
Yeah, or I would, based on what they were looking for, I would recommend, I said, well, you're much better off for a networking group like a BNI than,
Right.
than a Vistage because there's a no fit here. In a nice way, basically, like guiding them and coaching them, but saying
It's
that,
not you, it's me, that kind of thing.
yeah, Vistage purpose is not for lead generation. It's not for exchanging business card. It's not transactional. We're here
Right.
to exchange wisdom. It takes time to develop wisdom and to build the bonding, not for immediate satisfaction of how many lead can I get. No, that's not the right purpose.
And in your view of, and you've set this all up as a means for yourself to give back and to be a mentor and to be, the leader that you promised your first mentor, Norm, that you were going to be. Um, what has this experience taught you? What has other than fulfilling the promise, what has this work actually done for you, and what have you learned from it?
Oh, it taught me that I have to constantly upgrade myself, right? So it's not easy to be a chair. Um, we have to
No, it's not.
be able to equip with lots of knowledge and resources from all different type of industries that so that we are able to better help mentor, a guide or coach or facilitate the meeting. So it actually it's great in the sense that it keeps me on my toes. I keep sharpening my saw every day, and I'm still constantly looking for courses, to up my coaching skills, up my facilitating skills, and learn from other much more experienced chairs. I mean, Vistage has been around for 68 years. Their chair, they are 90 years old, past 90 years old. They're still chairing. There's chairs that have been chair for 30 years, 40 years. My goodness. There's a wealth of knowledge right there that now, I seek for their coaching. I seek for their mentorship and I learn from them, like attending the chair wall, meeting a lot of other amazing chair all around the world. Yes, so it really, really forced me to now constantly level up myself.
I would really love to ask you because uh, we're running out of time, but I really want to ask. You're also, in addition to being a Vistage Chair, you're also actually a venture capitalist. How did you? So how does that? What itches that scratching for you, and how does that tie into the work that you're doing with Vistage?
Yes. Well, very great question. I'm glad that you asked. So I am passionate about paying it forward and helping others. And I know that there's a lot of young entrepreneurs and young startup companies out there. They have great idea, great product, great service, but there's a lack of maybe the experience part or the resource part of things. And yeah, so I constantly look for pitch deck and find all these amazing companies to invest in. Not only I write them a check anywhere from pre-seed to Series C um, stage, I look to mentor them, and I get joy and fulfillment just like how I do it in Vistage is by sharing my experience, my resources, my know-how, and just help guide them. Or sometimes they might need to pivot to certain direction to have that exponential growth. So to me, if I can do that, that's success. If I can help them, that's just really, really happiness.
That's amazing, and if I could say so, you are. I love your story. You're truly inspiring. I can. This is one of the most unique conversations I've had with a Vistage Chair. You've said a number of things today that have completely blown my mind. So thank you so much for being an amazing guest. Now, if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to know if they have what it takes to be in one of your groups, if they want to ask you for money, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, send me an email, fenella.kim@vistagechair.com.
Thank you so much, Fenella. I've really enjoyed this.
Yes, thank you so much, Eric, for giving me the opportunity to be your guest.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Chairwaves. You can subscribe to our feed using Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your platform of choice. You can also visit chairwaves.com for more information. Chairwaves is hosted and produced by me, Eric Wolf, and to connect with me, you can visit my website at ewolf.live. That's EWOLF.live. And a disclaimer, while I love Vistage and CEO peer groups, this podcast is not owned by or affiliated with Vistage or any other peer organization. Thanks for listening.